Given that we have finished Final Fantasy 16, we thought we would throw together all of the things that we wish we knew sooner, so that you guys don't make any mistakes that we made and just have a better playthrough. There's going to be no spoilers here, and there's definitely going to be some things that you won't want to miss out on, or just things that aren't explained well in the game that are quite important. So drop a like down below if you enjoy this, and share your tips in the comments in case we missed any out, and let's jump into it, starting off by just recapping that this is an action game this time. It's a big change from previous Final Fantasy battle systems. This means you will need to learn how to do attack combos. You will want to learn how to dodge incoming enemy attacks. You're going to be doing quite a lot in terms of inputs on your controller, that is unless you use timely accessories that we'll go over in a sec. So ultimately, don't be afraid to jump in and practice on some monsters or in the training room, because the action combat is going to be here throughout the whole thing. You don't have the time and luxury of waiting for you to put in your attack input on your turn before the enemy acts. So spend some time in the training room to learn your basic combos, mix in toggle attacks, and switch between your icons and use their powers while you're in combat. But now let's go through a bunch of things that you're going to want to know. Unlike previous Final Fantasy games, there actually isn't a massive need to spend time farming. You get a good amount of XP and ability points as you go through the campaign or do side quests, so you shouldn't find yourself having to grind mobs back to back to unlock your next ability. Of course, you can do this if you want to, especially in the early game if you really want to upgrade your skills that early on, but just by playing naturally, the game will give you enough points to upgrade and master your things before you finish. Of course, any Final Fantasy veterans are too familiar with grinding in the past games, so this is a pretty welcome change. Next, let's talk about the timely accessories, because there are a few of them and you should definitely use them if you're struggling. Some of them make the game super easy mode, but others give you basically just some quality of life. For instance, the timely accessory that automatically controls Torgal, it means that you don't have to worry about using the D-pad to command him, which just makes your life so much easier to focus on attacking and dodging. There's another one that automatically uses your potions, which is also very handy if you don't like using the D-pad in combat once again. But then you have the more easy mode ones if you're really struggling. There's one that lets you execute complex ability combos by just pressing square to attack. There's also one that automatically evades, but another one that will slow down time before you get hit. So don't be afraid to use these if you need them. But do note that you can always take them off or put them on before a hard boss fight. So if you're really struggling on something, you might want to put these on just to make your life a little easier. And speaking of accessories, let's go over some of the best ones that you'll want to get. There's actually some accessories that increase the percentage amount of XP, gil, and skill points that you get as you play. These can be bought from Sharon's Toll in the Hideaway shop, which will unlock after some story progress. So keep checking back after doing some main missions and you will eventually find these. On Fortune and the Heavens gives you a 15% XP gain, while the Wages of Warcraft will give you a 20% ability point gain in normal encounters. We recommend always having these two on once you get it. Makes you level up a bit quicker and get more ability points so you can upgrade and master your skills a little bit faster. Finally, the Berserker Ring, which you will get through Renown that we'll explain later, is fantastic and is a must pick. This temporarily increases your attack proficiency after doing a perfect dodge. You're going to do a lot of these dodges anyway, and it adds a cool slide animation to your dodge, as well as buffing your attack and making your hits do fire. So once you have the Berserk Ring and the previous two mentioned, you should slot these in and try them out, you won't regret it. Next, let's talk about these side quests, because some of them are missable and others are extremely important. As you progress the main story, you will unlock side quests that have a plus icon on them. These offer permanent upgrades and are 100% worth doing and prioritizing. Some of them increase your potion proficiency, making them heal you for more, others increase your bag size for those potions, and you can also unlock new recipes to craft powerful gear. There's even one that unlocks a mount, which we have a video on the channel already explaining. So always prioritize those plus quests, they're worth your time. Also, some of the early game quests are actually missable. There is a early point of no return where those quests will no longer be available. So if you don't want to miss anything, make sure to do all the side quests, especially early on. Next up, you might be wondering what to pick, the quality or the performance mode. Each has its benefits and drawbacks, but which one should you go with? Well, Digital Foundry have done a fantastic tech review of the game, and it goes into great detail into both of these options. Definitely check it out if you have time. Performance mode sacrifices the quality of the image and the resolution for a higher frame rate. It utilizes FSR1, so it means distant objects will look pretty bad. However, it does seem like the increased frame rate is very variable, making for a a choppy experience along with that bad image quality. Meanwhile, quality mode will lock things to 30 FPS. As a result of this though, it doesn't deviate too much, and everything is much smoother and prettier, making for a more stable playthrough. So from our experience testing these modes and Digital Foundry's knowledge on this, we also recommend playing in quality mode, and that's what we played through on. Next up, we need to highlight dodging. This is a very important aspect of the game as it's now an action game, so if you don't want to get hit, you will have to dodge. The most simple thing that you want to know that will make dodging so much easier for you is that it's so much easier to proc a precision dodge if you dodge into the attack. Think of it like you have to dodge through the danger, not away from it. So always use a directional dodge into the enemy's incoming attack, and you will see yourself dodging much more easily and more often. On top of this, we need to talk about the limit break, as once you unlock this, it's a fantastic way to sustain in battle. It powers you up and covers you with fire and juices your attack, but it also regenerates your health. So we actually found the limit break was really useful for topping your health up without having to use your potions. So if you take a hit or two, activate that limit break and heal back up. Next, we wanted to talk about crafting and weapons. We wanted to emphasize that you don't have to worry too much about crafting the best thing that you can currently make based on where you are in the story. Particularly the early and mid game, and even up until the end game, a lot of these crafting options do not give you massive increases in your stats. A lot of them are quite negligible. On top of this, every major main story boss that you defeat will actually give you a material to craft a boss weapon that's actually very strong. So particularly for weapons, you don't need to worry too much about crafting and upgrading a weapon, because every boss fight will give you a very powerful one. Next, let's go over the stagger mechanic, because this is quite important. Under all bosses and elite style enemies, there will be a yellow bar in two halves. This is their stagger bar, and you will want to break this bar down with your attacks and abilities in order to deal tons of damage to them. All of the abilities will show you how much damage and stagger they can deal. So focus on the higher stagger potency abilities to bring that bar down. Once the bars reach the halfway point, the Garuda icon can be used for its circle ability to actually pull the monster down and give you a mini stagger. This is very useful and allows you to go on the offensive. Once the enemy's stagger bar is down, you then want to hit with as many rapid hitting things as you can, as this builds up a damage modifier up to 150%. Once you've reached as high a modifier as you can, then use your strongest skills on them to deal even more damage with that modifier. A quick tip next, if you ever get lost on a quest, make sure to hold in L3, as this will highlight where to go and Torgal will go towards it. So if you're ever lost, hold in L3 and follow Torgal. Also, photo mode is actually in the game and is really cool, but it's very hidden. What you want to do is press start, and in the bottom corner of the screen on this tab, you will see that you can press in the pad on the controller and that will start photo mode. It is a little hidden, but once you know where it is, you won't forget. Next up, we wanted to go over some ability recommendations and something about the skill tree. We recommend upgrading all of your core skills, your dodge and magic burst, and your charged attacks. Upgrading your dodge and magic burst makes the window to activate these things wider, so it's easier to dodge and do the magic burst combo, so definitely upgrade these first. I also wanted to highlight the ability ignition that you get relatively early to mid game. This is extremely powerful as it drags enemies with you as you charge forward, which you can also control. So you can effectively sweep up a whole group of enemies and deal massive damage to them. If the skill itself isn't enough to defeat them, then you can combo it with an AoE afterwards to wipe out a whole pack of enemies in one fell sweep. Other abilities that are definitely worth your time is Heat Wave, which will block a projectile and shoot out your own projectiles. The expensive ultimate skills of each icon are also fantastic, so don't sleep on them and they are worth saving for. Other skills that block and then counter are also extremely powerful and act as panic buttons and can be used mid-combo. It's also good to know that abilities don't use mana this time, so you can spam them off of cooldown. It's often not worth saving them because even the ultimate abilities don't have a super long cooldown. Furthermore, you can actually reset all of your skill points or individual nodes in the skill tree, so don't be afraid to try and test different things out because you can freely respec if you want to. We have a combat guide coming your way soon with all of these things in a bit more detail, so make sure you're subscribed for that. Another cool tip is that when you die in game, you actually respawn with free maximum potions. So don't waste your gil restocking at a shop. Instead, go and run into some enemies, let them defeat you, and you'll get all of your potions back for free. And next, we wanted to talk about renown rewards. Doing side quests and hunt objectives will give you renown. This is a mid to late game thing, but it's very worth it. Here you can get a ton of crafting materials and extra ability points as rewards. So doing side quests and hunts is definitely worth it. This is also where you get the accessory Berserker ring relatively early game, and even the iconic Genji gloves in the later game. So it's actually worth your time doing those side quests and hunts after the mid-game point. So what tips do you have? Share them in the comments down below so we can all learn as a community. Make sure to drop a like if we've helped you out, and share this video to a friend. And the 2 videos on screen now, we think you'll really enjoy if you did enjoy this one. You don't have to watch them if you don't want to, but if you did like this video, you're probably going to like these ones too. And then tell us what you think after watching in the comments down below.